Welcome to episode 254, a mini episode of the Refuse-Fascism podcast, a podcast brought to you by volunteers with Refuse-Fascism. This is Sam Goldman, one of those volunteers and host of the show. Refuse-Fascism works to unite all who can be united, to join in mass nonviolent protest and resistance in the streets and throughout society, growing to include millions and refusing to stop until we create such a profound political crisis that Trump cannot impose his fascist program or even maintain his hold on power. First, I want to give big thanks to our patrons, everyone who rates, reviews, shares the show, and reps our merch. Every bit helps connect more people with Refuse-Fascism, and a shout out to those who tuned into our webinar this past Monday. Today's episode drops just ahead of July 4th week, where we're going all out to mobilize for a week of historic struggle in DC. So even though our team has a lot going on, I wanted to come on quick and give you updates and ways for you to join the struggle. This July 4th, a day that for many is associated with celebrations of freedom and independence, must not be used to legitimize Trump's fascist America. It cannot be a celebration of a nation going along with fascism being hammered in. Instead, it must be a day to put our conscience, our commitment into action. July 4th, gather at the White House and across the country to say clearly and urgently, Trump must go now, loudly and with such unshakable resolve that it resounds across the world. This July 4th is a day to declare your independence from Trump's fascist America in the name of humanity. Let's be real. You can't be flipping burgers in the backyard while fascism is tightening its grip. It just doesn't add up. You can't be on the beach chilling while ICE is ripping people out of their cars and the National Guard marches through Los Angeles and the Supreme Court is handing Trump more dictatorial powers. It just doesn't add up. Instead, DC, in protest, demanding Trump must go now. That adds up. DC is the place you want to be Friday, July 4th. The Supreme Court just issued a decision that greenlights Trump's attack on birthright citizenship and neuters the power of the federal judiciary to stop his fascist orders. Here is what Sansara Taylor, co-initiator of Refuse-Fascism, said on the day of the Supreme Court's ruling in the birthright citizenship case.
This morning, the Supreme Court took a sledgehammer to the rule of law. No, that's not some kind of communist exaggeration. That's what Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said. This decision is an existential threat to the rule of law. The case? Trump's illegal order to overturn birthright citizenship, a right guaranteed in the 14th Amendment for over 150 years, a right won in the ashes of slavery, a right which overturned Dred Scott, the infamous decision that said black people have no rights a white man is bound to respect. A right that clearly applies to the children of immigrants. But now the Supreme Court says that Trump can violate the Constitution as long as nobody sues fast enough, or if they don't sue in every part of the country. As ICE snatches parents and children off the streets, birthright citizenship could soon be suspended in most of the country. Thousands of newborns could be rendered stateless. And the Supreme Court just gutted the ability of the federal courts to stop Trump from breaking other laws. Let's be clear. Donald Trump could have tried to overturn birthright citizenship through legal means, but he didn't. Because as Bob Avakian explains,
if Trump wanted to legally and constitutionally change this, which itself would be a very bad reactionary move, he could try to do so by following the procedures for amending the Constitution that are set forth in the Constitution itself. But that is just the point. Trump does not recognize any limits to his fascist dictatorship. Not the Constitution, and not the laws or the rule of law and due process of law.
Let that sink in. Trump doesn't recognize any limits to his fascist dictatorship. And then just this morning, he came out in a press conference and he whined that he's been the victim of more federal injunctions than any president ever before.
We've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century. Me.
Of course you've been blocked more than any other president because you, motherfucker, have broken the law more than any other president. We've been told yet again that these courts will do nothing to stop Donald Trump's fascism. It is going to fall to us, the people, in our millions. It is our responsibility to stop this fascist atrocity now before it becomes too late. So join Refuse-Fascism.org this July 1st through the 4th. We will be in the streets across this country, and then on July 4th, we will march to the White House. We will declare our independence in the name of humanity from Trump's fascist America. We will raise the biggest chant heard round the world. Trump must go now! If you care about the future, you need to be there.
Trump took a smug victory lap after the ruling, but we must meet that with determination to drive this fascist regime out of power. Right now, immigrant families are being ripped apart, parents and children dragged off city streets by ICE agents. And with this ruling, birthright citizenship could be suspended across much of the country for an indefinite period. The ability of the courts to rein in Trump has been gravely neutered. This decision further greenlights fascist rule by executive decree with no real separation of powers to stop it. As Elie Mystal put it in his must-read analysis for The Nation, quote, by taking away the ability of courts to enter nationwide injunctions in this case, the court is giving Trump carte blanche to violate the constitutional definition of citizenship in any district where a friendly Trump judge will allow him to. And in practice, this ruling will extend to every other single issue where Trump has been stopped thanks to a nationwide injunction. Right on cue, Trump signaled today that he intends to move ahead with a slew of agenda items, quote, that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, end quote, including policies targeting trans children, refugees, immigrants, and yes, birthright citizenship, end quote. A link to Mystal's full piece for The Nation is in the show notes. It means Trump can now move forward, not just on birthright citizenship, turning thousands of US-born children into a stateless underclass, but on any order targeting the rights and lives of entire groups of people. And he can do it faster. This can only be stopped by us, by the millions of people in this country who refuse to live in Trump's fascist America, getting in the streets and demanding the removal of the regime, waiting, hoping, pretending this will be resolved in the courts or by elections still over a year away. That is normalization. That is accommodation. That is enabling fascism to consolidate power. So now is the time for our resistance to move from opposition to becoming a force so massive, yes, nonviolent, and yes, defiant, so determined and so relentless with the demand the Trump fascist regime must go now, spreading through the streets and all of society, creating such an impediment to any business as usual that this overwhelms and prevents the Trump regime from implementing its program or holding on to power. And that's exactly what July 1st through 4th in Washington, D.C. is about. This week, we are building that force and culminating on July 4th, this Friday, thousands from all over the country standing united in our diversity, raising one clear demand for the whole world to hear. Trump must go now, and showing that we mean business, that we're in this to win. It's time, if you haven't already, to cancel or postpone your picnics, your barbecues, your beach trip, and join Refuse Fascism this week in DC. In the name of humanity, we declare our independence from Trump's fascist America. If you can only be there one day, be there Friday, July 4th, 2 p.m., rally at Logan Circle, march to the White House, joining in the biggest chant heard around the world. You know what it is. Trump must go now. In Washington, D.C., on this July 4th, 2025. In the name of humanity, we declare our independence from Trump's fascist America. Whenever any fascist regime of government becomes destructive to the future of humanity and the planet, it is the responsibility of the people to drive it from power through nonviolent protest day after day until the regime is removed from power. Donald Trump must go now because he and his regime are fascist. Fascism is a radically reactionary qualitative change in how society is governed. Fascism foments and relies on xenophobic nationalism, virulent racism, misogyny, and the aggressive reinstitution of oppressive, quote-unquote, traditional values. Fascist mobs and threats of violence are unleashed to build the movement and consolidate power. What is crucial to understand is that once in power, fascism essentially eliminates traditional democratic rights. The history of the Trump fascist regime is a history of repeated injuries, usurpations, and violence in the service of consolidating a fascist tyranny, assaulting truth, rule of law, the separation of powers, and of church and state, while accelerating the climate catastrophe, endangering public health, and raising the risk of global war. Let the fact be submitted. This is from Refuse-Fascism's Declaration of Independence from Trump's Fascist America. Read and share the full declaration at refusefascism.org and in the show notes. Read it at July 4th actions in your town. Distribute it everywhere.
Trump is a fascist, he must be removed. Trump is a fascist, he must be removed. Just like a tyrant, ousted by the people, he must be removed. 'Cause we're fighting for the immigrants, he must be removed. We're fighting for our trans friends, he must be removed. 'Cause Trump is a fascist, he must be removed. Trump is a fascist, he must be removed. Just like a tyrant, ousted by the people, he must be removed. We're fighting for the future, he must be removed. We're fighting for humanity, he must be removed. 'Cause Trump is a fascist, he must be removed. Trump is a fascist, he must be removed. Just like a tyrant, ousted by the people, he must be removed.
So that's something that you can be singing July 4th and all of this week. Get to DC. We have 4 days of action starting Tuesday, July 1st for you to join. From a welcome block party on Tuesday, July 1st at 6 p.m. at Logan Circle to going out through the neighborhood on July 2nd, going throughout DC, raising the demand Trump must go now and connecting people with the movement to make that real. Then in the PM, on July 2nd, Wednesday, July 2nd, there's going to be a teach-in. What will it take to defeat Trump MAGA fascism at 6:30 p.m. at the Friends Meeting of Washington. Then on Thursday, July 3rd, there's going to be a speak out at 11 a.m. at the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Erasing Black history, we say no. Now's the time for Trump to go. And then rush hour banner drops spreading the word about July 4th. Then on Friday, as I've said before, 2 p.m., we're rallying at Logan Circle, declaring our independence from Trump's fascist America, marching to the White House for that biggest chant heard around the world, Trump must go now. Our demand all week long has to be crystal clear, loud, and unshakable. Trump must go now. That's the goal we're fighting for. And together, we have to organize with the kind of determination that won't quit until we get there. We need resistance that's sustained, that grows bigger day after day, night after night, until we create a political crisis so powerful that Trump can't push through his fascist agenda, can't govern, and is forced out of power by the action of the people. So one more time, change those plans, join me in DC. And if you can't get to DC, raise the demands with us wherever you are. Visit refusefascism.org to find an action near you, along with organizing materials. And be sure to post pictures and video on your social media and tag @RefuseFascism so we can learn all about it and share it further. Of course, spread the word about this week of action. Be sure to connect with @RefuseFascism on just about every social media platform and be sharing to get folks mobilized for this week. We'll be posting throughout the week, and even if you can't be with us in person, you can help make sure that it's further amplified. And of course, support the work. Imagine this. Thousands of us in the streets of DC on July 4th, marching to the White House, our voices echoing around the world. Trump must go now. Not waiting, not accommodating, not accepting, not relying on institutions that have already surrendered. This is our moment to declare independence from Trump's fascist America, but it's only possible if we make it happen together. And let's be clear, buses don't rent themselves, banners don't paint themselves, permits, sound, stage, organizing space, printing, advertising. It all takes money to turn that vision into reality. This movement is powered by people like you. No corporate sponsors, just people who refuse to accept a fascist future. So if you've ever said somebody's got to do something, please know you are that somebody. Give what you can. 25, 100, 500, whatever it is, give like the future depends on it, because it does. Go to refusefascism.org and click the donate button. Venmo refuse-fascism. And if you want to specifically support the work of the podcast, become a patron at patreon.com/refusefascism. Every single dollar is a declaration. We will not live in a fascist America. We will not be silent, and we will not stop until Trump is removed from power. Thank you. Thanks for listening to Refuse Fascism. To those who spread and share the show, please know that it means everything. Help us amplify this urgent message by grabbing some merch. Check the show notes for the link. Share this episode far and wide. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Of course, drop a comment on our socials or YouTube. Every share and every word helps build this fight and keeps us going. Once more, you can find us on social media at Refuse Fascism, including Blue Sky, and follow us on TikTok at Refuse-Fascism, fascism spelled F-A-S-H-I-Z-M. Much thanks to Richie Marini, Lena Thorne, and Mar Tinkleman for their amazing work producing the show. See you in the streets, everyone. And until next Sunday, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America.